Hello, my name is James Henderson. I'm attempting to take you on a journey that I began 10 years ago. This journey is an attempt to expound on the mind of violence and how to get our understanding a little bit more uh, influenced by understanding extreme acts of violence. We have to understand that by the time a shooter or a killer gets to this point right here, this threshold of commitment, where they're about to commit to a shooting spree or a killing spree, this is a journey that has brought them to this point. They did not just wake up at 9 o'clock this morning and decide today at 2 o'clock I'm going to show up to this school and I'm going to blast away at unarmed children. This is a journey. It has progressed to this point. The problem that we're having now, and I see that the problem that we're having now with understanding violence, is that the textbooks that the experts are trying to teach us out of are either outdated or they're not able to provide enough factual evidence so that we can get enough intelligence to connect enough dots to stop the next shooter from coming. Here's the tragedy. 10 years ago this December, my son and I began to try to instruct people about extreme violence. I am by no means an expert on anything in life that has to do with violence or things like that. I am, however, a participator in a lot of acts of extreme violence. Acts of violence that demanded a lack of compassion, a lack of understanding, a lack of fulfilling moral principle. These things that were intertwined to bring me to a point where I committed an act of violence. I've never shot up a school. I've never shot up a bowling alley. I've never gone in and just killed people blatantly. What I have done is, through the course of my life, I've been involved in criminal enterprises that brought about the necessity to act in violence, and not only in violence, but extreme acts of violence. It seems to me that the experts that are lulling us back to sleep after every time that a shooter shows up to a school, these same experts are not true experts, in the sense that they do not really understand violence and the need for violence and the need for violence in individuals' minds. These men, these boys, these psychopaths that are showing up and doing this extreme killing, that are showing up to schools and showing up to newspaper offices and showing up to bowling alleys and showing up to high school, wherever they're showing up to commit these acts, these are men that are on a journey. It is not something that they just wake up. Now, very rarely does somebody just wake up. I know it happens. There's compulsion to commit murder. There's self-defense to commit murder when murder is committed. There are a lot of things that transpire. But when you set your mind and you set your finances and you set your life to pursue an idea, and that idea is just in your mind, and it takes a month, a year, 2 years, even maybe just 2 days to bring it to fruition. That fruition, the point of that fruit that it's going to produce, is that it goes from mental capacity to real-time life capacity, and in the act of producing that capacity, it causes death, and the death is usually of innocent, unarmed civilians, American civilians. I'm going to begin you on a journey. I'm going to take you on this journey, and it's textbook stuff. You have got to really pay attention if you really want to get a grasp of this thing. By no means am I going to show you, by no means am I claiming that I know anything about solving this problem, about how we're going to keep the guys out of these schools from killing these kids and shooting up these schools. What I am going to do is I'm going to get our head out of the sand, I'm going to turn the cameras off, and I'm going to get the mask off, and I'm going to show you exactly what is going on and transpiring in the mind of these young men, in the mind of these men, when they commit to murder, and murder in masse. Murder in masse, murder in crowds, going after a crowd, is not the same as one-on-one murder. It's the same thing as far as commitment, but the commitment and crossing that line in the sand of your mind, there's a whole lot more involved with it. When you commit to kill in numbers and large numbers, it is a labor-intense journey. These kids that show up to these schools, these men that show up to these schools and begin to open fire, this is not an impulsive thing. They have done surveillance. They've done their homework. They are here because this is a non-confrontational place to shoot up. They do not go to places like police stations. They don't go to places, bus stations where there's a lot of police presence there. These are cowards that are looking for non-confrontational. Why? Because a non-confrontational, a non-police, a place without guns A place that cannot return fire is a place they want to be because they will get the results that they're after. Now you're going to have to pay attention. I'm going to have to really set you down and talk you through a lot of things so that you understand. I have to lay a foundation. This foundation is going to be gruesome in some of the explanation and some of the details and breaking it down. I'll try not to get too graphic, but you have to understand where we are at, where the mind of darkness travels to. It amazes me how the depths and the distance these men and boys will travel to get the numbers that they're after. These boys, these men want off the ride. The ride is called life. They cannot handle it anymore. They're doing it on they're going to do it on their say-so. They're going to do it the way they want to see it. They're going to get off this ride the way they want to do it. And it's not going to involve somebody else telling them how to do it, when to do it, or why to do it. They have it all figured out before they ever step on this scene. By the time they step on this property, cross this threshold, and commit to open fire on young, innocent boys and girls they do not even know, this is not stemming from a troubled childhood. This is not stemming from something where Uncle Bobby touched him on a camping trip when they were at the church group when he was 8 years old. Rarely is that the cause or the case, but our experts are lulling us back to believe that these are troubled childhoods. No way is this troubled childhood. These are copycat killers. That's how they're able to get the numbers that they're after. I don't want to get ahead of myself because I had to teach you about this stuff. But that's enough for now. I'm going to take you into the mind of the serial killer as well as the mind of crowd murders. I'm going to take you into the mind of killing in masse, in numbers. I'm going to take you into the mind of the man and the boy who travels in a point of darkness and in a cloud of understanding that only he sees. And the reason that we with normal minds cannot see this is because we refuse to get ourselves past the graphic and the brutality of this violence. This violence is about to get much worse than what it is right now. Well, that's enough for now. I need to get out of here before I get the cops called on me. But this is a foundational part of this understanding. We're laying a foundation, a heavy, a thick one, because I'm going to build on this foundation. Hopefully by the time it's all over with, if America doesn't hate me by that time, then maybe America will have a little better understanding of where we are, what we're doing, and we can solve this thing. Because yes, there is a solution to this. You might not like it, but it's the only one that's feasible, and it's out there, it's available right now, and we're going to hopefully come to a point of understanding and agreement that this thing can be solved. But we're not going to solve it with book smarts, with expert smarts. We're going to solve it with experience smarts, and that's where I come in. Hopefully I can give a little bit of understanding to this problem, and we can solve it. That's enough for now.